Hey YouTube, Matt from Team Silverback here, doing a quick deck profile for a deck I did pretty well with at locals the other day. As you can clearly see, it's Vanquish Soul. This is a third or fourth version of the deck. Excuse the glare. Still working out some kinks, getting the deck to exactly where I want it, but it feels pretty solid. This is like close to a final build, I think, until new support or whatever. Anyway, we'll start with the main engine. It's 3 Raisin, pretty standard, 3 Mad Love. You need a normal summon in this deck, even if this normal summon is bad because it doesn't get you Raisin. Raisin's kind of the heart and soul of the deck. 1 Pantera, 1 Pluton. Some people don't play Pluton at all. Most people play Pantera. I've heard of some people not playing it or thinking about cutting it. This is just back row hate and an extender if your opponent has a lot of spot removal, and you can't really deal with it if you only have these in your deck and not this. And then Pluton, I understand cutting. I like having a fire attribute to search with Raisin, but I might not keep it in the deck. It only came up like once or twice. I think I gamed somebody with it once too, which is kind of cute, I guess. Not super important. Theoretically, you can play on your opponent's turn if you open it too, but like it doesn't happen. If you only play one, especially. 3 Borger because he's insane. He's just Heat Soul. Just draw cards. And you kind of want to see one of the tag out guys, which are him and the 2 Kaiser, because it insulates you from impermanent shit on your Raisin and Mad Love. People probably won't drop those cards on those because they're afraid of these, but like it's good to have the threat, and they're like some people who will do it anyway. I'll continue with engine first. So all the spell cards I'm playing in the deck are engine, which is kind of interesting. 3 Stake, obviously, it's the best card in the deck. It's just E-Telly for anything. It's broken. Like, even it adds back the monster in the end phase, but like that doesn't matter if you link it off, obviously. And sometimes you want the monster back in your hand, so you have attributes, so it doesn't matter at all. To continue, sometimes I want to cut this to 1 because like it's really bad to open on its own without like a normal summon, or like if they have like banishing removal or whatever, like some situations. But I like having 2 in the grind game, and sometimes I even feel like I need 3, but I feel like that might be just inexperience with the deck and like managing resources wrong. So it's at 2 for now. If I get really good with the deck and I find that I only need 1, then it'll go to 1. But never 0 probably. Yeah, definitely never 0. Also, something I've noticed, you should probably always just be searching this over Dust Devil, which is the other non-engine, or the other engine interruption I search. If you're playing against any deck other than like Kashtira, like what happens a lot is I'll have the normal Raisin line where I go through normal Raisin, get Mad Love, make Rock, summon Mad Love, and then I can get one of these. If I don't have a Borger or Kaiser in hand or whatever, it's like always right to get this because you want to be able to summon Raisin to get Borger and start getting draws and like value. The entire point of this deck is to just generate value over both players' turns. So yeah, just something I noticed last night at locals. 3 Small World. I'm playing this over Pot of Prosperity. You can technically play both. I was playing both until like yesterday. So the reason I'm playing this is like the entire deck bridges into the rest of the deck. Like if you open any of your non-engine monsters, they always bridge into an engine monster. Like any attribute into the 4 of that attribute goes to Raisin. Any of the big guys go into any of your non-engine into Raisin. Like it, yeah. This searches your entire deck basically. There's like 1 monster in my deck that doesn't bridge with this. I'll show you that when I get to it. I took out Pot of Prosperity because I found that it was conflicting with Borger draws, and I added some other ways to see Raisin in the deck, so I felt like I didn't need the extra digging, and I would rather just have more non-engine hand traps and board breakers and stuff like that, which we'll get to. So what I did was I played Rhoda and double Durandal. Durandal, I think, is like super underrated because it's just another copy of Rhoda for this deck as long as you can put a body on the board. And you have like going first, if you don't see Raisin, you have like for normal summons to put a body on the board to search Raisin, you have like 4 good ones, which are like Pantora, double Mad or triple Madlove, and then you have Fenrir's, which make this live, and then going second, it's just like you just equip it to your opponent's monster. Now they have to either answer it or let it resolve, and you get a Raisin. So it's whatever. All right. Non-engine stuff, which is kind of where this deck shines. You want to be able to like have like powerful cards that match your attributes. We're playing triple Fenrir. It's the best Earth monster that we have in the TCG. No Maxi. So Rise Heart, it makes Fenrir into a fire attribute basically. So like if you have this plus Stake Your Soul, you get Raisin. If you have this plus Raisin and like a Kaiser that can't get to another fire in your hand, then like you get that. It's you just look at your hand and see what attribute you need. You can either search another Earth or a fire. It's really good. And the other thing that this opens up is this just makes Big Eye now if you have this in your deck. And Big Eye is really insane into a bunch of matchups. Yesterday, Big Eye stole Shangri-Ira and made an Arise Heart on top of it. And that won me the game because I was just able to keep banishing his top decks every turn after I wiped everything else. And then Big Eye stole an Eldritch because it couldn't be destroyed, so I just took it, linked it off, popped something with my extra deck monsters. Actually, I think I ended up keeping the Eldritch because it was just a ton of damage on board and he couldn't out his own Eldritch. Because fun fact, Big Eye doesn't give the monster back. Pretty cool. Triple Ash. Branded is this deck's worst matchup, so you need a way to deal with it. And this is also just like the most generic thing, and it's a fire. So like this is obviously just mandatory in this deck. I don't know what else to say. Double Ghost Spell. I was on 3 of this before, but I feel like it's not generic enough. It's good against a lot of matchups, like randomly, but like not super impactful into everything. Like obviously Labyrinth, this is crazy, but like if your opponent's on like Cash, you can hit the Birth, which is fine. It's just a -1. You cut him off 1 body. Like Sprite, you can hit Beaver, which I forgot you could hit Beaver with that until like this morning and realized I think I lost a match because of it. But yeah, this can hit Beaver. It's fine. I'm siding a 3rd one, but I don't think I would main 3. It's just not good enough. But you do need Earth attributes, so I think playing 2 is justified. Double Magnuma and Jurisform in the main deck. I don't love this, but like I said, Branded is this deck's worst matchup, so this is kind of a concession to that. And like in the matchups where this is really awful, it's still never dead. Like you have to set it up with your own monster sometimes, or like against Cash, you'll at least have Shifter in the graveyard that you can hit. And it does search you Kaiser, and Jurisform does put on pressure, so like it's alright, but I don't want to like lose game 1s to Branded just for free because I don't have these in my deck. So yeah, and their attributes, which matters sometimes. I think Dark is like the worst attribute to have, but attribute. Last 2 hand traps, Ghost Mourners. So this was between Veiler and Mourner. I felt like Mourner was like better into Kashtira because if they do their normal inboard where it's like Shangri-La, Rise Heart, Pass, and then on your turn they summon a Fenrir or a Unicorn, you can Mourner that because it discards for cost, doesn't send to graveyard. And then you can get some burn damage randomly. But then it also works going when you draw it, like going second, you can hand trap them during their turn instead of during your turn. So it's kind of versatile that way. The only problem with this monster is it doesn't bridge into anything in the deck almost because its stats don't line up with your Vanquish Soul monsters, and the Ghost Girls that you'd be bridging into share all their stats besides the attribute. So you can't turn this into a Raisin, but like I don't think it came up at all. And you can't realistically have every single card in your deck be an attribute. It would just make your deck bad if you forced it. So like this could also technically be imperm too, but I want it to be a monster just in case. I need a normal summon or whatever. Last one, Dogran. This guy's insane in this deck. He has the lowest defense stat of any monster in the entire deck, I believe. So if you give this to your opponent, you can bounce it back with Mad Love. His attribute and stats let him bridge into like the entire deck. Like you can go Ash him, Raisin, or you can go the other way around and grab him off of Small World, like go Raisin him Ash if you have a double Raisin or whatever, or like Pluton. So just a versatile card. I think I dropped him like twice on people the other day. It was decent. All right, extra deck. Obvious triple rock. This is like the heart and soul of the deck. Everybody was imperming this shit in draw phase, which is very irritating, but sometimes it doesn't matter because if you have continue set, sometimes it just doesn't matter. But this is your grind game. It's your like dupe lock. It's your extender. It's like everything for the deck. So you need to play 3. I mean, I don't go through all 3 every game, but like people are gonna unicorn you for one of them, or if you get into like an insane grind game, like my round 1 was a 30-minute game 1, and I think I did actually go through all 3. So it can come up. Nightmares. I should also be playing Unicorn, but my teammate has it, and I forgot to get it back from him yesterday. It came up once, kind of, but it like didn't matter because I had Big Eye. But these guys are the good ones anyway. So because they both point up, you always get their draw because of Rock pointing down. And they just out whatever, like just out problem cards. They force back row, pop monsters. You know what Nightmares do. Pretty good. Also, this one protects from card effect destruction, and this one from battle destruction, which I feel like that comes up more often than you'd think, but people forget, so I don't know. Figured I'd point it out. Rank 4 stuff. Dweller, I never made it yesterday, but I have made this in grind games against like Eldritch and shit, or Branded, and like sometimes I just can't play under that. So Baguska, Branded again. There's a couple other decks you could just chop this against, but it's just good utility. Like I said, you don't make a lot of this shit. Tornado Dragon for back row matchups. Exciton Knight for equalizing the game, also back row matchups. Easy Zeus line. Never made this. I feel like this card is kind of hard to make in a game state where it would matter. Like a lot of the time you have more cards than your opponent, so you can't use it. But it's there. It's a rank 4 toolbox thing. I could probably cut it. Shakana and Borbo for Easy Zeus. I think I made this like once or twice. Yeah, 4 materials Zeus is crazy. I don't know what to say. Like sometimes you just win the game if you do that. So yeah. Big Eye. Shout out to Trey or Zaib or whoever's Big Eye this is. This thing just shits on people. Like I won 2 games because of this. Like stealing a monster forever is insane. If you can make this against Cash and like burn their Rise Heart banish because they have to, like, you force it out, and then you're able to make this, and you either take their Rise Heart with a shit ton of materials and put your own on top of it, or you take their Shangri-Ira and unlock all your zones, which I did in the tournament. I had to make this in the EMZ, took the monster to my last zone that I had left, and then slapped the Rise Heart on. All my zones are unlocked. Banish his Rise Heart because he already burned the effect. And then just play a Rise Heart control in my Vanquish Soul deck against Cash Tira, and in a simplified game state, almost won me the match. Unfortunately, that went to a tie because the game 1 was too long. I threw lethal, but it happens. A Rise Heart's pretty good if you can, make it for free, which you can. If your opponent uses a Shangri-Ira, you just slap this on top of a Fenrir, slap it on top of Rise Heart, slap it on top of their monster you stole, slap it on whatever. And then you could hard make this really easy too. Like if you open Fenrir plus Raisin, you just make this if you really want to. Like if this FTK is the mirror or the matchup you're playing, then just make it, or make it in a grind game. Like it's super easy to make for some reason in this non-Kashtira deck. And then double Zeus, just in case Unicorn, I guess. I mean, I think it came up once because somebody banished one of them, but realistically, like one of the cards in here should probably be a Unicorn and maybe an Access Code. But yeah, I didn't have either of those, so whatever. Was good. Alright. And then side. Pank, never saw it, but you need an out to Goes in Match, Rivalry, Skill Drain. Skill Drain you can play under, but like it's really annoying to play under, so just like pop it. The Last Bell. Just for like Branded Labyrinth, you know, that type of shit. Graveyard stuff. Triple Phantasme. I never draw this card when I sided in. It's an attribute. It digs you cards so you can see your Raisin more often, and I've heard that this deck has a hard matchup with Sky Striker for whatever reason, so I figured like this card's good against Sky Striker. It also works against Dragon Link, Sun Avalon, Trap Tricks, like a bunch of random decks that just have to Link Summon, drop it. So it's good in theory, but he just doesn't want to get in my hand in matchups where it matters. Magnamut. It's Magnamut. You want to draw it going second against a lot of random decks, you know, Mathmech, Branded, whatever. Talents, because card's stupid. Crazy Board Breaker, crazy going first card. Play this against Cash, take their shit. Play this against whatever deck, just forces stuff. Pretty good card. Play two of it. It was in the main deck, but I don't know, I just didn't like it that much in the main deck. It just never mattered that much. I feel like there's some decks where like you can't force a lot of interaction very easily because you have like very clear choke points, and if they just interact with those, what you get off talents never matters. So put it in the side instead. Duster, triple Cosmic, you know, because fuck Floodgates. I don't like this deck. Has a like hard time with Rivalry and goes in, like I said earlier, and like Skill Drain, like I said earlier. So just out him. I played against Eldritch. I drew all three Cosmics and Duster in like both games that we played sided, and like you dig into your deck so much, like you keep drawing cards, you're gonna hit them. Bound to happen eventually, and it definitely mattered a lot for the grind game, you know. And then Tikaboo. This deck is also made for this card. Like that's why it was in the pack. Basically everything is a different type in this deck, so you play under this like it's nothing, and most of your opponents cannot play under it. I even considered deciding this into decks that play this card because they can't play under it as well as you can. Like if you side this in against Eldritch, like their traps are not interruptions anymore. They just can't interrupt you with their trap cards, so like why not? They have to waste 2 cards to out it, and then they're outing a Floodgate that they also play in their own deck, which is kind of awkward. You could probably even put this in against Sky Striker. They can't start moving their links to gain value, and then like I don't know. This is all just theory, but like obviously matchups where it's obviously good, it just shits on, like Rika Sun Avalon, Trap Tricks. If you flip this on, if they summon a plant monster, you flip this, the game's over. If they don't know what they're doing, if they know what they're doing, they can kind of out it, but it takes a lot of resources to out it. I don't think I need to say anything more about this card. Probably explained it more than I needed to already. So matchups, Kashtira. That was a draw. 35-minute game 1. It was just a back and forth grind game. I forgot to activate a Small World, so he was able to play out another turn before I could kill him. And I risked him top decking and just blowing me out, but he didn't. And then game 2, I just couldn't burn him in time, and he couldn't do enough damage to OTK me and then make game 3, because he had to win both games basically. Round 2 was against, oh god, what was it? Oh yeah, Eldritch, yeah. Just an insane grind game. I top deck a Feather Duster and blew him out in game 2 or 3 though. He slowed the game down a lot with skill drain, but it just wasn't enough to kill me before I was able to draw the out. Round 3 was a loss against Pure Sprite. I just could not beat his end board, which was like double Toad or Toad Newman dupe lock and like that kind of shit. I made a slight misplay that might have changed game 3, but not much I could do there. And then round 4 was Trap Tricks. Couldn't break his board, but then game 2 was like free. That deck can't deal with spot removal. This deck has a lot of spot removal. And Tikaboo. And then game 3 he just scooped. He didn't feel like playing it out. So yeah, that's the deck. I think the deck's pretty good. I think there's not a lot of changes I would make to it yet. I need to test it more. It's got some hard matchups like Branded, but that's what non-engine's for, I guess. But yeah, that's the profile. Shout out Team Silverback. Like, comment, subscribe. More deck profiles coming soon. Peace.